Thanks for the support as a channel member, Jonathan Scatoff. Well, boys and girls, what a day yesterday was. A playoff final win in the most spectacular way at Wembley. And if you were watching on Twitch last night, a victory for Kev in the FM Streamer Showdown. An epic penalty shootout final victory against Dr. Benji. You should go and check out the Twitch replays, twitch.tv/LOLLUJO. I am the Season 1 champion of the Streamer Showdown. It was an awesome event that took place over the course of the weekend. There's going to be a Season 2 soon. If you don't already follow me on Twitch, you really should, because you don't want to miss out on that when it comes back. Twitch.tv/LOLLUJO. I am live tonight, actually, if you're watching this video when it first comes out, playing some of the home series that we've been playing on there for a little while. So come and join me over on Twitch. And in the meantime, let's enjoy a transfer special here with Bourne as we prepare for life in the Championship. Hello and welcome to part 74 of Bourne Again. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our season review from our glorious League One promotion season and transfer special, where theoretically we have over £1 million to spend, although I suggest we'll probably just do lots of free transfers again, because we need to move as much of that into wage budget as possible, because I do worry that a wage budget of £100,000 a week is not close to enough to be successful. But before we worry about transfers and things, let's have a look at the season review, starting off with confirmation that we just got our highest ever finish. It was going to be that regardless. We'd never been in League One before, but a third place finish in League One, highest ever finish, which means of course this coming season again will be our highest ever finish, even if we get relegated. Our overall best 11 now looks like this. So we've had Christine, Carlo Driscoll and Joel Barnes all being added to the all-time best 11. I think that means Mata drops out because he was in as my left back. Mata is finally out of the best 11, boys and girls. So, best 11 now is Griffin in goal. Griffin now playing for Bohemians still playing for Bohemians. In fact, he's been there a long time now. Barnes in at left back. O'Driscoll, obviously both of them still at the club, albeit I think both on loan. Yeah, he's on loan as well. So, we'll need to look into either signing them permanently or loaning them again, or deciding they're not good enough and moving on. Wiggett is the other centre-back in the all-time best 11, who's had multiple opportunities to come back, never has, and now he's playing at a level below us. And it serves him right, because he could have been part of this team, and now he won't be. And Dodd, of course, is our right-back. So 3 of our current back 4 are in our all-time best 11, which is super. Dean alongside Smith in the midfield seems about right. Dean's another one who's in on loan, but we'd love to bring him in permanently. He's one of him along with Barnes. They're both our team leaders as well, because they've been here on loan for 2 years. On the wings, we have Taylor Coots, who it might be worth another look to bring him in on loan again, because he's not played any football since playing for us last year down in League 2. So he might be more or Newcastle might be more interested in loaning him out again if he can have a season in the Championship with us. So we'll certainly, in fact, should we drop a little bit of a scout request on him now to have a little look at him. Lee on the other side, who is playing for Accrington down in the National League. I mean, he's got around a bit since leaving us way back when, but I think it's time we replaced him on the right-hand side with a better right-wing option, and then Carty and Hector Ingram up front, who, as we know, have both retired. The best 11, we've just looked at all that. Bourne end of season rewards. Awards, inexplicably not Hardy, not even in the top 3, despite being responsible for the promotion at Wembley, despite being responsible for the cup run. Hardy nowhere to be seen. Bourne fans just don't rate a goalkeeper, it seems. Christine Player of the Year, 48% of the votes. Aside from the obvious call for Hardy, you can't really argue with that as a best of the rest. Clark as well has been excellent in midfield. The two of them together have been a very good midfield that have kept Terry Broadbent out of the team for most of the year, which is no tall order. O'Driscoll in third. Again, he's had a good season. Can't really argue too much. Goal of the year goes to Scargill. So let's have a look at the goal of the year to see. Look, Scargill starting. That was a rare treat for those of you who don't like Pavlov. It's a Scargill free kick, in fact. I mean, it's a good free kick, but I think we scored better goals. Clark gets signing of the season, again, in a season where we signed Hardy, which I'm not going to argue too much because Clark has been a very good signing. He's come in, got 12 goals in all competitions, 11 assists, averaging over a 7. We said at the time it was important to bring someone in with some championship experience. That's what we did. And he definitely was playing for us looking like a championship player. So on that basis, he was awesome. But to me, Hardy, it's one of the best goalkeepers we've ever had in a Football Manager series, certainly equivalent to the level that he's at. I don't get it. I'd put him there. Christine, Young Player of the Year again at 22 and a team leader. If we can get this boy permanently, he's out. Is he out of contract at West Brom, or is that when his loan ends? No, he's got another year on his West Brom contract. So we'll try and loan him again because he's been that good for 2 years. Try and loan him again and then sign him permanently at the end of it. Team of the Year, Hardy in goal. A back four of Barnes, Kitching, O'Driscoll and Ralston. Might have had Dodd in there because of old Mr. Big Game Bottler. Clark and Dean in midfield. Querrell, Palmer and Murray behind Scargill up front. So Scargill getting the nod over Pavlov, which he rarely did over the course of the season because I kept picking Pavlov even when you all told me not to. Scargill also finishing as top scorer on 17 goals. 17 goals from 80. Well, in the league, 14 goals from 18 starts. Maybe we should have given that lad more of a chance. We didn't, though. Too late now. Dean gets highest average rating. Most assists for Barnes. 14 assists from left back is some good stuff. Goddard, best pass completion. Another one who didn't get much of a chance, but he's young. He's still got time to get his chances at only 19 years old. And Palmer is probably one who's unlikely to be brought back on loan this year. Of all the loans, he's probably the weakest, even though he has made it into the team of the year. Murray gets most man of the match. And then lots of naughty boys this year. Kitching, Broadbent, Ralston, all naughty boys. Season review, we outperformed expectations in everything. We got promoted when we were supposed to finish mid-table. We were fingertips away from an FA Cup quarter-final. And it was just a lovely season all round. The team of 2024, that's what they're up to now. If you want to catch up on the 2024, 9 of them now retired. We're only 7 years in the future from there. Kyle Bartley is Sunderland's assistant manager now. Which is, I mean, that's awesome. The fact he's their assistant manager. I wonder if he wants to come in as my assistant manager. And then the rest of them largely playing throughout non-league football. But Bartley, we'll keep an eye on him. What league is Sunderland in? They're in the one we might be able to nick Kyle Bartley and bring him in as our assistant manager. Club Vision. We've finally got the fight bravely against relegation from Sir Mick. We have gone up a year too soon. So my interpretation of that is always if we get relegated, it's not an issue. I won't get sacked. We can come back up again the year after. And I think we should all brace ourselves for it's going to be a tough season. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got relegated. I think, was it with Nuneaton or Home? One of these Road to Glories we've done, we did get relegated out of the Championship. And then had to go back up again because it is a big, big jump. So strap yourselves in, brace yourselves. This is our dynamics. So Broadbent and then 2 loans are our team leaders, which I guess, I mean, that looks right to me. Broadbent, Barnes and Dean. If those 2 both leave and Broadbent isn't in the team, it does leave a little bit of a leadership gap at the top of the team. But hopefully we can bring these 2 back in on loan at least, maybe even permanently. So discuss plans for next season. I'm optimistic we can avoid. No, we can't. More than happy to go into next season. I'm going to bring in signings. All we've got to strengthen if we're to avoid getting in a relegation battle. I think that's the one. We're not good enough to say. Well, that's what I was trying to say, Salvador. It's all gone wrong. I've ruined morale by saying we might not get relegated. I mean, that's ridiculous. I thought that's what I was saying. This year's training camp, we get the choice of the East Midlands or Scotland. Let's go to Scotland. Let's push the boat out and have a summer of luxury up in Scotland. And then this is the EFL Team of the Year. So we get there you go. They've recognised Hardy's quality. Barnes and Clark also make it into the Team of the Year, which 3 players in the Team of the Year for a newly promoted side. I can get on board with that. That's good stuff. Right. Transfers then. I mean, it's a waiting game initially. I guess what I need to do first of all is renew some contracts. I'll go and look at those in a second because we've got quite a few contracts expiring this summer. We've got everyone down to there is out of contract. So I have players who started at Wembley. Obviously, O'Driscoll, Palmer, Barnes and Dean, their loans all expired, but Querrell's contract is up. I don't know if we can afford, and Ralston, the two of them are going to be big decisions, because as much as Querrell was a hero, he's on a lot of money. Maybe not for the Championship. Ralston, I think, probably is done because he's on a lot of money. But I'll have a ponder, have a look at them. The rest of them are on decent length contracts, but we'll renew the contracts. I don't think we've got too much in the way of promotion bonuses or promotion pay rises, which is good, because then we can have a workout of what we've got left, decide where we want to put this slider to manipulate the budgets a little bit, and then work out what we're going to do. My initial instinct is wait for the 1st of July again, not change anything from our normal policy, wait for the 1st of July, fill up on free transfers as much as possible, and then if we happen to have money left, maybe go and buy someone who fills a gap that we couldn't fill with youngsters. It doesn't feel like a way to stay in the Championship though, does it? But we've got no money. There is no money. In fact, before we get to the point where everything's reset, can we have a look at the Championship just to show what we're up against? So if we go up to the Championship, and what I want to see is team. Where's the one that talks about wages? Somewhere on here we can see. Here we go. Salary per annum. So at the top end, Everton, a salary per annum of 66 million. So what's that? £1.2 million a week wage budget. We've got a £100,000 wage budget. The lowest budget was 9 million for MK Dons, which is, I don't know why I'm getting a calculator. We've got 100 grand a week. So our budget is 5.2 million. So we're going up with a budget half the size of the lowest budget in the league currently. We're not going to be putting a Championship quality team together this summer. Let's just all temper expectation. Well, of all the potential ground options, this is the one that I thought was least likely to happen. We're expanding Abbey Lawn. We're not building a new stadium. We're not ground sharing. We're just adding, we're not even getting rid of all the terracing. We're adding 1,250 seats to the 800 that we've already got. So we're going into the Championship initially with very little, but we're going to have 2,000 seats and another 3,500 of terracing, which presumably we're not going to be allowed to use, but somehow we're getting around the rules with it. So Mick Powell obviously has some dirt on somebody. It's costing us a big pile of cash, half of which is coming from a grant, but presumably the half is coming out of our kitty or a loan, or it's not clear where the other half is coming from because it's not come off of our balance. It's not appeared as a loan. So is Simic just paying that out of pocket, presumably? There's some financial irregularities and some bending of the rules going on here at Bourne. And I'm not against it. I'm not disagreeing with it. I do wonder what Simic is up to and how he gets away with it. And why he's not just building a new ground. Because this is madness. Absolute madness. If we have a look at the facilities, it doesn't fill me with a huge amount of confidence that he expects us to stay in this league, that he's not really pushing to get a ground appropriate for it. The one positive, for those of you who watched Home last year, is that the longer we stay here, the less likely we are to be ground sharing when we are pushing for the Premier League title and all that kind of stuff. So we're starting the season with a capacity of less than 4,000 and only 720 seats. But then when we're done, it will have 1,950 seats and a 5,500 capacity. What are the league regulations? I cannot believe that meets the league regulations. This is going to be our 4th season in the Football League. I don't understand how we're allowed to carry on playing here. Here we go. Stadium requirements, which are behind my head, but I'll just read them to you. Oh, no, to be honest, it is going to fit. In the Championship, so this is different to League One. In the Championship, minimum stadium capacity of 5,000, minimum stadium seating capacity of 2,000. So I'm guessing we are going to be just over 2,000. Terracing is permitted in stadiums, whereas in League One, terracing is not permitted in stadiums. League Two, terracing is not permitted in stadiums. So actually, going up to the Championship, just by adding those extra seats, it pushes our seating up to the 2,000 minimum, pushes the capacity of the ground up to the 5,000 minimum, and we are now allowed terracing again, so the entire ground's going to be open. That is a weird way for the rules to work, but that does mean once this is done, The ground is fine for as long as we're in the Championship, and then we will just have to build a new ground when we get into the Premier League eventually. Or do a ground share, I guess. But we now have a ground that meets the rules. We got promoted quickly enough. These figures are fantastic for a Championship club. We're so excited that we have 3 new deals totalling another £40,000 a year. That pays less than half our new weekly wage bill. Our main kit sponsor is a 1-year deal worth £35,000, a third of our new weekly wage bill. Our turtle, might as well have been turtle merchandise. Our total merchandise sales for the season, £22,000. We only sold £22,000 worth of football shirts. No way do we survive in this league. We do have our new scouting budgets through, though, so we'll leave them as they are. And Sir Mick Powell, the ridiculous man, I need to start checking how much money he actually earned during his career, because he's just injected £3.8 million into the club, not added any debt to do it. I mean, that's still terrifying, because we're still not going to have the income to compete on with these kind of salaries. But for Sir Mick to stick nearly £4 million into the club in a week after he's agreed a new ground for us as well. The man is just a money pit. We're ruining him. Mrs. Powell must be devastated at the amount of money. She doesn't know how much money he's spending. When they have to move into a studio flat, and he can't really explain why they're skint. This is why. So Mick, for the good of your health, for the good of your life, for the good of your family, you've got to sell this club. But he just loves it too much. He doesn't want to sell. And let's face it, we're not going to get another chairman who's going to do this every summer. Every summer he does a cash injection. It's just never been close to that big before. Thank you, Sir Mick. And of course, because I'm a monster, I saw money in the bank account and decided to ask him to spend it. So we're upgrading our training facilities at a cost of £220,000, our youth facilities at a cost of £650,000, our data analysis facilities at a cost of £100,000. So that's what, £1 million of that 3.8 million already spent on bumping up the facilities. Our facilities are still trash. We have no data analysis facilities at the moment in the Championship. But at least we're starting to slowly but surely drag this club forward. We might even get some decent youth come through. Now we're increasing the youth facilities. We need to bump up youth recruitment, but I can't ask for any more stuff out of him at the moment because he's just given me £1 million for off the field stuff. How things are changing here at Bourne. Can I do another one yet? Yes, I am very happy about Sir Mick doing that. Can I make another one now? I can. Right, this is where we want to improve youth recruitment. What else can we get him to spend money on? Do that one as well, Sir Mick. What else can we spend money on? Lovely stuff. I don't know that I need to fiddle with any of the rest of this. Increased percentage of transfer revenue, just in case we sell anyone. How much is that now? 20%. I mean, that's still not that impressive, is it? At least it's better than it was before. So we've now got basic youth recruitment. I'm not sure what difference junior coaching does. Does that have an effect on how good they are when they hit the youth intake? I think that's what that does. And we now get to keep some of the money for. I mean, the transfer revenue thing will disappear again in no time because by the end of the summer we'll be down to no money. But it is good to see that we're gradually starting to bump up some of this stuff. If we can do that every summer, whilst continuing to make sort of improvements on the pitch, I think we need to accept Premier League is still probably 4 or 5 years away because we've just not got the infrastructure or the money to be able to get there. It feels like Bourne are a much smaller club when we've hit this level than Home were last year or Nuneaton were the year before. I think this is going to be a very challenging season. Right, Taylor Coots. He's not as good as Scargill, apparently. Wow. Perhaps he's not going to be the Premier League striker he was billed as eventually being when we had him when he was down in League One. Right. We're now just waiting for the 1st of July, I think. Right, I have renewed all the contracts that I'm planning on renewing. So let's just get the team selection stuff off of here and get In fact, we don't need the under 18s on, but is there anyone in the under 23s worth? No, not really. Let's just look at the first team. So first team players who are not going to have their contract renewed. Obviously, we've got all these loans. We're still coming up with a plan for them. I don't want to renew them too soon, but at the same time, I don't want to lose some of these players either. So we've still got those to fiddle with, but we are going to be losing a couple of fringe players who we've not really used very much. Chapman and McNulty from the old days, McWilliams and Lavelle from the old days. The big one who's not going to be sticking around is Ralston, $8,500 a week. We don't need that. And the important re-signing that we've just done is Querol, wherever he is. Why can't I see him? 2-year contract for him, £5,000 a week. Even if, I mean, it'll go one way or the other. He'll be rubbish and we'll sell him and get loads of money for him. Or he'll be awesome and go down as a club legend. But he's such an awesome big game player. And every game's a big game in this coming season. And to have a player in the squad valued at 2.2 million when the next best is 275,000 shows just how valuable he is to our future. But yeah, bye-bye Ralston. And we do have a bunch of youngsters coming in. There we go. These are the ones from the first batch of youth players that were two goalkeepers, because I'm Kev. These are the first batch that are coming in. They'll be here in a few days. This is from that initial message that you get back in like April. Premier League announced youngsters that are leaving or words to that effect. These were the ones that had good trials off the back of that. So this lot are all coming in. We'll have a look how they fit into the team. And they're here in 3 days. So once they're in, we'll then have a better idea of what our squad is. We can work out which loans we need to renew. And then we know what we're looking for when the window opens on the 1st of July. Wowzers. So maybe the Bourne faithful don't see the value of Hardy, but Bristol Rovers are being linked with a £3.2 million offer for him for a player valued at 94,000. As much as I love him, we need to offer the boy a new contract. 3.2 million. Imagine. That would be absolutely insane. Right, he deserves everything that's on there. Wow. So our new boys are in. Lots of C's. All the C's. So, George Allen. Oh my God. Our scouting and coach. I hope. Oh dear. Oh dear. What is it? These were all 5-star potential players when we had them in, when we were back in League One. He's not too bad at 19 to already be 3-star current ability, but he must have potential to get better, surely. Surely. How are they all rubbish? I don't understand. Have we just had somebody fly ahead right, John Clark is a 4.5-star player, apparently. Is he miles better than everyone else at the club? Quite a long way better, apparently. Oh, go. Hopefully some of these will come good. Otherwise, that is the worst batch of early freebies that we've ever signed and doesn't bode well for the next batch that we're going to be looking to bring in. We might have to change our plan a little bit for this summer and try and get more players in the shape of Clark, who are a little bit older, rather than youngsters, because youngsters don't seem to be having much of an impact on that first team setup. Right, now we offer we offer new loans for some of the better loanees, like Bean. Can we get him on loan again? We can, so we will. We're having youth players poached now. We haven't had a good youth player come through, but they're getting poached. Very sad. Less sad is that we're doing transfers. We've got a right back potentially coming in, Nicholas Lastra, who's going to cost us 100,000. He'd be a record signing, but does provide us with a real top quality right back, better than Ralston for half the price wages wise. 25 years old. He's been playing, he did his 2 years in League One with Mansfield, where he's been exactly my kind of right back, picking up lots of assists. Don't quite know how he ended up at Mansfield via Argentina, but that's exactly what he did, and he seems keen to come, so he's going to be my Ralston replacement. In other news, we've got the loans of Dean and Barnes sorted for another year. They're the only 2 loans we're bringing back. O'Driscoll, we've managed to sign permanently. He was out of contract with Burnley in the summer, Fulham had come in and offered £0 for him. So we did the same. Rather than offer him a contract at the end of his deal, we just offered Burnley 0 for him. They accepted. He accepted our contract offer. He's in on a 4-year contract because, quite frankly, at 20 years old, on the tiny amount of money that he wants out of us, and for a player who's been awesome for the last 2 years, I'm happy to reward him with a great big contract if it keeps him out of Fulham's grips. It might be that he's not quite good enough to play in the Championship yet. He might get there, he might not. I think we'll probably be able to sell him on. And even if, you know what, it's a small contract. We're having a little bit of a gamble now for the idea that when he's 24, he's still going to be earning that and still playing for us. So I think that makes sense to me as a piece of business. So this is what our squad depth looks like at the moment. It doesn't remove players who I've already set to release, which is frustrating. But Hardy's signed his new contract. Clark, we're trying to sort a new contract for now because he's being linked with other clubs as well. Pavlov and Scargill are both still going to be here. And I think what we do need is an attacking midfielder or two, or maybe a defensive midfielder or two, and we switch the system around and go to a 4-3-3 rather than a 4-2-3-1 for this coming season. We'll see what's available when it comes to that point before deciding what types of midfielder we're going to get, because it's looking like once everybody's gone, we're going to have neither, because we're not bringing Palmer back. Goddard will still be here, but he's kind of a fringe player, and we don't really have any defensive midfielders, so there you go. We've got our final scout report on Lastra, which should put that up to 100% now. It does. And he's still considered better than Ralston and relatively cheap. So I think we're going to be signing him. We just need to wait for that deal to be confirmed. And there is your confirmation that Lastra is in. Terry Broadbent's going to show him around Bourne. Show him the sights. Show him that, look, we've got a Boots and a Superdrug. We are a big town, really. And that is our right back sorted for next season. So with Barnes at left back, Lastra at right back, O'Driscoll back, and Kitching. I mean, Kitching, can he make the step up? According to this, I mean, at 31 years old, he's still the best centre back at the club. He has flirted with the Championship a little bit back in his youth. I worry that he might not be good enough and isn't likely to get better. But when we look through the star ratings of the squad on this team strength thing, if we're saying Barnes is good enough and Lastra is good enough and Hardy's good enough, then Kitching's good enough too, star rating wise. So we've got I think we might have our back four and goalkeeper sorted with some decent backups as well. We'll probably still bring in a youngster or two. Midfield, Dean and Clark with Broadbent as backup did a good job last year. If we can bring in a youngster to compete with Broadbent as their backup, I think that's sorted. Striker, I'm happy with Pavlov and Scargill. I know you lot aren't, but Scargill got 17 goals last year. Pavlov is still a current international who's still going to get better. Oh, he's wanted. Who wants him? Dijon. I mean, if they offer actual money for him, we'll obviously sell him and rethink things. But the amount of money we're paying him, we're kind of committed to continuing to use him. We can't sit him in the reserves. Wide areas, Querol, Murray, O'Brien, happy with them. We probably need backups. And it's just deciding about attacking midfield or defensive midfield or both. But there's plenty of budget left. There's £24,000 a week of wage budget, still over £1 million of transfer budget, even after Lastra. So we're putting together a good side for Bourne. I just don't know that it's going to be a good side to stay in the Championship, but it'll be a very good side to come back up again the year after. Oh, and Guillaume Balaguer is making an offer for someone who's trash by the looks of it. Oh, this is the problem with having a director of football who wasn't that great when we were down in non-league. How good is Guillaume? Do we need to be trusting him? Oh, God. Yeah, I'm going to let him down gently. This guy's not any good. No, thank you. You're all right. You stick to sorting out loans for me. He is the man who found Barnes and Dean way back when, I think. I assume that's usually where my loans come from. But maybe permanent transfers, as ever, not his forte. This Championship, it's a whole new world. I have no idea whether I'm supposed to accept this offer or not for Barry Murray. We signed him last summer on a free transfer. He was great, but he's apparently a good player for League Two sides with the potential to be a good Championship right winger in the future, but he's the best right winger that we've got. but he's valued at 120,000, but they're offering 500,000. To me, it feels like we're probably supposed to sell him, but I don't know if we're going to be able to replace him. I mean, do I just do something stupid, like say, make it 1 million and then he can go? I was kind of expecting that all to green off. I should have live streamed this. I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. They're offering a deal worth up to £925,000 for a player who's League 2 quality, didn't average over a 7 last year, but is the best player we've got in that position. £600,000 up front. I guess what we have to take into account, and this is where the decision is made, we're only going to get 20% of that back. So in actual fact, if we were getting 100% of it, and we could reinvest that money and go and spend £500,000 on a new right winger, or even £200,000 each on a new right winger, a new left winger, a new attacking midfielder, then maybe. But if I replace him now, I'm going to be so upset when he leaves on a free next summer at the end of his contract. Oh, we did have some promotion wage rises. Yikes. Does that change? No, it doesn't change too much. When is Murray's contract up? I'm now second guessing myself again. When is his contract up? His contract's up at the end of the season. Imagine if he now doesn't want to sign one. Lavelle has retired. He was 34 years old. Does he want to be a coach? No. Well, that's him done then. 4 years, well, 3 years he was with us for. Didn't play at all last year, but made a massive contribution to getting us where we are. Sam Lavelle, thank you very much for your service. Trial. It's nearly the 1st of July. And there's confirmation of the players that we released. Quite a few names that have been a major part of the series. McWilliams, Ralston, Horlock was our backup keeper forever. He was our backup keeper for 4 years. He only ever played once. McNulty, who was a huge signing when he came in. Our most expensive salary we ever paid at the time, was fantastic for the first half of the following season. Then did a full year with Salford in League One last year. But he's gone. Chapman, we now only have one Chapman again. And some of the youngsters who never quite made it moving on as well. So that's cleared out a big old bunch of the squad. Barry Murray is going to sign a new contract. We've offered him one. He's agreed it. We're just waiting for him to sign it. It's a new 3-year deal for Murray. So hopefully, one way or the other, we either get him and he's awesome, we either keep him and he's awesome, or it increases that price that McDonald's are willing to pay for him, and we could maybe get that £1 million that I still don't know if it's good value or not for him. Right, it is the 1st of July. I've made a couple more contract extensions, including, don't worry, I've offered a contract extension to Pavlov on slightly more money, which hopefully he'll sign. Our wage budget has inexplicably increased, which just seems to be the way things work in Football Manager these days. Don't question it, just spend it, is my motto. And this is what our team looks like before any July signings come in. So some of these star ratings have kind of evened out a little bit. Hardy, still very much our best keeper. Williams as a backup. Barnes, Kitching, O'Driscoll and Lastra looking like our back four, with Mark Sheffield, Catamore, Washbourne, Dodd and Webster all there as backups. Central midfield, we've got Clark, Dean, Broadbent, Montgomery as a backup. Catamore was knocking around as backup at both centre-back and central midfield. And then as attacking midfielder, Goddard is the only one we've got. We definitely need another one of these. Querrell really our only option on the right wing. Murray and O'Brien battling it out on the right wing, with Norman still there as a young backup as well. And Pavlov and Scargill as our strikers. That would be a title-winning side in League One. I suspect at this level, it's not good enough. Broadbent's been made club captain, by the way. Now Lavelle has moved on. So Terry Broadbent, Mr. Bourne, deserves that. He's been here 4 full years of playing lots of football. And now we've got £1 million to spend and £30,000 a week of wages to add to it. And it's really about trying to improve that, whilst being able to afford to improve it. And I think that's going to be the challenge. Let's see what happens, shall we? So, lots of trials in, as ever. We've gone initially with the ones from our Director of Football recommendations, because we're abandoning youngsters for a little while. And as you can see, there's lots of players out there that could improve our squad massively. I think the problem is going to be convincing them to sign for me and being able to afford to sign them. Because if we've only got 30,000-ish of wage budget to play with, maybe up to 50,000 if all our transfer budget goes, then that's, if they're all earning the same amount as Pavlov, that's really meaning we can only sign 4 or 5 of them probably. So, for example, if we have a look at Darko Husic, who is apparently better than Pavlov, but he's also Bosnian, has played fewer games for Bosnia and not scored any goals. So is he really better than Pavlov? But he would be a 4.5-star current ability player. Good player for most championship sides, apparently, according to this guy who's got 4 for judging potential and judging ability. So he really knows his onions. Let's see how much he would want. Star player. Lots of money wanted. Oh, this is going to be the theme of the summer, isn't it? Right, I need to work out which of these I want to sign. Well, after that entire batch, we only actually managed to bring 2 in. Husic is in, 8.5 grand a week. It's not disastrous for a player who's better than the 2 strikers we already had, and it's an improvement on 9 finishing. He has 10. Excellent stuff. And we also signed a midfield player as well. There were a couple of others we tried to get who we just missed out on to other clubs, and lots of players who were either too old or wanted like 20 grand a week. But this guy, Emilio Jose Hernandez, is a 24-year-old Spanish midfield player who can also play attacking midfield, right wing, defensive midfield. Only wanted 6.5 grand a week. 4-star current ability player, which makes him a good player for most championship sides. Can slot in alongside Clark or Dean in midfield, pushes Broadbent down the pecking order a little bit, but not so far that we have to forget he exists. And I think he slots in as a good signing as well. We now continue the search because that was everyone we got of those first batch of trials. More trials, please. Next batch of transfers sorted. Where did we get to before? I think we got as far as Hernandez. So we've now also signed Matteo Mejia, who is a right winger who can also play as a striker. He's not going to be in our team as a striker, I wouldn't have thought. But as our right winger, as an inverted winger or inside forward, he's going to fit in very nicely. Him on one wing, Querol on the other. Should be lovely stuff. James Hewson is a 25-year-old centre-back who just comes in to offer some competition to Kitching and O'Driscoll in that area. He's played a few championship games in his past, been around the Scottish Premiership as well. So I see him as a similar kind of signing to Clark last summer. Doesn't seem like anything special on the face of it, but could end up being a really valuable player. Dinko Arnautovic is a 19-year-old Montenegrin international central midfielder who can also play at centre-back. He's 6'5", can also play as a holding midfield player or a push as an attacking midfielder, but he's not great at it. But we're going to use him as a central midfielder, almost certainly as our defensive one of the two. 19 years old with the potential to continue getting better. He's an exciting signing. He comes in from Zeta. Don't know where Zeta is. Montenegro. That's where Zeta is. There we go. And lastly, Scott Fitzpatrick. We'll try that one again. Scott Fitzpatrick is a left back. I know this means we've got 2 left backs on loans. We've got Barnes as well. But he can also play on the left wing where he would be an inside forward. You know, I'll have an inside forward. And he'd actually be potentially better than Querol or Husic, who can also play out there. He was on loan at Hull last year, so has championship experience, has Scottish Premiership experience. And by doing that, all I've done is loaned Mark Sheffield out. He's gone out on loan to Chesterfield, which means the squad currently looks like this. I'm still not happy that I have my attacking midfielder sorted. We've identified 3 or 4 over the course of the summer, and they keep signing for other people. But I think we're good for strikers, good for wide players, certainly good for central midfield. The defence, the goalkeeper, it's all good. We just need an attacking midfield player. The only problem is we're now over our wage budget. I don't know if we can get back. This is going to be tricky. We need to figure out a way to sign an attacking midfielder without breaking the bank. Maybe we need a loan. There aren't any. Fantastic. Right. Oh, these lot all look great. They're all in their 30s and none of them are any good. Oh, my word. We might have to change the system. Yikes. I am glad we signed so many midfielders this summer because Terry Broadbent has a serious viral infection and he's going to be out for most of the season with it, which is not good at all. Mr. Bourne is not going to be able to, and our new club captain is not going to be playing for us in the Championship, which is an awfully long way from ideal. If you needed further proof that we're out of our depth at this level, this is the first time the media prediction and the entire save has had us in a relegation battle. They think we'll just survive, finishing fourth bottom, but I think that is an indication that we are up for a very challenging season. I'm definitely trying to set expectations at the right level here. We're going to lose a lot of football matches this year. Following the Broadbent news, we've snuck in another midfielder. Jake Bruce is a 22-year-old Welsh former under-21 international, 40 caps for the Welsh under-21s. He's a central midfielder who can play anywhere around the rest of the midfield on the left-hand side or in the middle. So he's certainly going to be an option for us in that attacking midfield role. That looks like Terry Goddard is in possession for the start of the new season, which is, I mean, it's a lot of pressure on 19-year-old shoulders, but you know, he's got the potential to be a Championship attacking midfielder in the future. Let's make the future now. But this is Bruce. He's been around for a little while with West Ham in the Premier League, West Brom before that. 22 years old. He's cheap. He's only costing £4,500 a week. So we needed another midfielder in, and now Murray has picked up an injury as well. I'm already hoping that Milton Keynes come back in with another big offer for him now. We've effectively replaced him. It was always the fear when we didn't let him go then. But I think the squad's looking not too bad. If only we could find an attacking midfielder to slot in. I'm hoping when we get the bonus thing where you get to adjust the bonus levels, I'm hoping we can push that down to the bottom, get a whole load more money into our transfer budget, sling it into the wage budget, and have one final go at bringing in an attacking midfielder of Championship quality. Because I think if we can do that, we might just have a chance. Here we go then, it's budgets o'clock. So if we push those down, it pushes that right back up to 750,000 again, which should in turn, it doesn't free up a lot of money. If we put it down to there for now. Interestingly, my director of football has now made an offer for another right winger who's also better than Murray. Or maybe he's not. Is this the guy? This doesn't feel like... No, sorry, it's this guy. I was going to say, that didn't look like the guy. This is the guy. Kafarski. So I'm now wondering... We've just given him a 3-year contract. Do you think Milton Keynes are still interested? Am I going to upset him if I offer him out? I probably am. I should have taken the money. Right, we go back and we ask again. Have we got any attacking midfielders? A 23-year-old one sounds positive. Let's get him in on trial. And just have a look on here as well to see if there's anybody. Yikes. We'll see. And we weren't able to find an attacking midfielder. It's not quite the end of the transfer window. There's about 5 days left, but it is the start of the new season. So if we manage to find one, you'll find out about them on tomorrow's episode when we play Millwall and Ipswich. It'll be in between the two of those. I do think it was a good transfer window. We've massively upgraded the squad. We've signed a lot of players who are much better than the players we already had. If we have a look at our team report, I think it is fair to say it's massively improved. The one issue is there, and we didn't really sign a defensive midfielder for if Goddard doesn't work. I guess Arnautovic could go back there, but he's not particularly comfortable doing it. So the midfield might be a little bit ropey. I guess what we could do is go to a normal 4-4-2, play Husic and Pavlov, which I guess will send the comment section wild. You'll love that. But yeah, not disastrous. We're within budgets. Got to call it a good window. And like I said, right, I don't even know how long ago now. These are all players who the majority of them are on 2, 3, 4 year contracts, which could be disastrous if we get relegated because of money. But if we were to go down, this team would romp the division next year. It would absolutely steamroller it. So I guess that's a positive. Husic, key player. Hopefully he'll be even better than the last young Bosnian striker we signed on a free transfer. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.